Welcome, everybody, live to the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. We've got an extraordinary guest joining us. Tommy Burke is in the house. He's actually coming to us from Los Angeles, California, his home base for well over 30 years, but he's an East Coast kid, hailing originally from Boston, Massachusetts. He's got such an extraordinary story. He's got an incredible record of accomplishment in Hollywood, in television and film. He's worked on some of your favorite television series, Chicago PD, Skin, pilot for Desperate Housewives, and so much more. Great films. But he also is a real, authentic, affable guy. And he has written a riveting, empowering, inspirational book, his autobiography, where he's open, he's real, he's raw about working in the industry, but also about himself, about his life, and about some challenges that have come his way that he's dealt with, beat the odds on many different levels in terms of health and wellness. And he's been very open and very expressive about it, which I think is very, very inspirational and can do nothing more than help others who may be going through something as well. Matter of fact, this is the book right there. Now, you think Hollywood, you think glitz and glamour, you think New York, Broadway, and just being in these industries of television and film and stage and broadcast media and internet and everything else. Absolutely spectacular title to this memoir, this autobiography. Not just sunglasses and autographs. 30 years of film and television production with life and near-death lessons and dark humor as well, with our very special guest, Tommy Burke. As I mentioned, he has had the wonderful pleasure of working on some extraordinary television shows and series. He's also had an opportunity to work with incredible actor Johnny Depp. Talk a little bit about that. Skin, the TV series as well. He's worked on Close to Home and also had an opportunity with Desperate Housewives and so much more. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about his extraordinary background, and we're going to welcome him on the show because, again, he's got an incredible story to share, and I think you're going to be inspired by it. I think it's going to be something a little bit different than what you just typically expect when you're talking to a celebrated television and film producer, director extraordinaire. He's been doing it for 30 years. Again, he left his hometown of Boston to make his way west to LA, and he's made his mark in such glorious ways. He brings an extensive and diverse list of credits to his latest creative endeavor, which is a book about the industry and insurmountable odds. A graduate of Boston College, he started out in television as a production assistant while working other odd jobs, including bar bouncer, golf caddy, to factory assemblyman, to sustain the meager TV industry income. That's right. You don't always start out, folks, in television and radio and all making millions. There is a farm system. You work your way up. His work ethic and build came in handy, scoring him a gig loading grip trucks for Powerhouse Films, which further exposed him to commercials and films in and around the New England area. He soon became the go-to guy for production assistants in Boston, working every motion picture produced in Massachusetts. And after a move to Los Angeles in 1990, Tommy quickly moved up the production ranks, working as the first assistant director on the independent film with Johnny Depp. Also, he's nicknamed the Irish Bull. Proud of his Irish roots. The West Coast colleagues call him the Irish Bull. Tommy went on to secure assistant director credits, including Jerry Bruckheimer's acclaimed TV series Skin, Close to Home, CSI Miami as well, and the pilot for Desperate Housewives. He spent his last 5 years on Chicago PD, but in 2003, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. 3 years of doctor's visits, 9 operations, chemotherapy treatments were all included in part of his rigorous 14-hour shoot day routine. To no surprise, given his well-known tenacity, Tommy conquered the disease into remission mostly by himself. Now he faces Parkinson's disease, his most challenging health problem yet, but true to his style and heart, Tommy is compelled to motivate and inspire others so they can learn from the experience. His book is an endearing story of overcoming the odds through dark humor, tenacity, authenticity, happiness. And she initially envisioned as a memoir about a man who had been beaten, and lived to tell the tale. But he was thrown a major curveball as well with the Parkinson's disease diagnosis, but equal parts pep talk and gut punch. This is an unvarnished, vulnerable memoir meets handbook, sharing lessons learned in life and work. And the pages really encourage readers to keep moving forward and embrace resilience, step out of the comfort zones, and take life head on. And we picked this photo with the sunglasses because it's a cool, Hollywood shot, yes, but it lends itself so beautifully to this title, Not Just Sunglasses and Autographs. Really, it's a terrific conversation we have coming up for you about Hollywood and all the rest, yes, but about somebody who has been so real and raw and authentic about his own life and sharing it with all of us in his memoir. Let's welcome him live and direct from Los Angeles, California, Tommy Burke, joining us on the Jim Masters Show Live. Tommy, an honor and a pleasure to have you here, my friend.
My honor's mine, Jimmy. Can I call you Jimmy?
Sure, absolutely. I'm actually fifth James. So in the house growing up, Jimmy is what it is. And I still have cousins that say Jimmy.
Well, East Coast people.
Yeah. Well, you would be. So if you grew up across the street from me, because I grew up out east further out on Long Island, which of course is in New York. And everybody on the street was Jimmy. You would be Tommy. There was Bobby and Stevie, and just everybody was either Y or IE. So Tommy, it's so good to have you with us. You're here.
Thank you so much. That picture you showed with the glasses.
Yeah.
Every time I see that, you know what makes me think of?
What does that make you think?
Craft services.
Tell us why.
There's a Chicago PD. We had the best craft service ever. And we had pierogies, we had cake the other day. I stuffed myself.
Pierogies. I love pierogies. You have Polish in your family, right? Is your mother Polish?
Yeah, my mother's mother came from Poland.
Yes. I learned through somebody that I was involved with years ago and is still a fabulous friend, how to say certain Polish words. Right now I'm sitting on my dupa. Yeah. Dime bougie, right?
Kiss my butt.
No, give me a kiss. Well, I think if you take the dupa with you combine the two, then you've got it. Pierogies. Yeah, that's good stuff. Now you're making me hungry, Tommy. How are you? And welcome to the show, my friend.
Also, I'm doing great, Jimmy. We also share?
Yes.
It's a part of your background, I probably don't talk about, but I think you should be most proud of it. PA.
Yeah.
I looked at your LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
You're a PA. I mean, that's a thankless job, isn't it?
PA is it's a production assistant for those who are watching who aren't familiar with it. And as Tommy will tell you, because again, he's a veteran of 30 years of this industry, you do all these different jobs and they hopefully connect with one another. And there used to be, I don't know if it still exists, but when we were coming into the system, it was a farm system. So you would start out, working at a radio station from midnight to 6 a.m. on air or whatever you were doing behind the scenes, or you would do production assistant or other kinds of things. And that would lead, hopefully people will recognize your talent, your expertise, and say, this person's good. Let's promote them. And then you go up from there. You think that farm system of starting out small and then earning it and working hard and being promoted and going up the ranks, you think that farm system in the industry still exists?
Well, there's two. There's the IA, which is all the grip and electrics. And there's DGA, which is the best guild ever, the best union ever. We have a DGA, we have a training program. You could apply to it and they'll put you on films. And those you work your way up that way. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in. A lot of younger people today are just a little self-entitled. So I mean, I worked my first job ever, and this is gonna knock your socks off. I worked when I first came to LA. I wanted to be an AD, and I worked 36 hours straight for free as an AD.
You did. That's a lot. 36 hours straight. That's like what, driving from Maine to Miami on I-95. It's like, yeah. And that's incredible. That is tenacity, and that's a love of the industry and plugging away. How did growing up in Boston and having the East Coast uh, vim and vigor, tenacity, can-do spirit help you when you did move out to Los Angeles? There's a certain energy that I'm sure you brought with you coming from a great city like Boston.
Well, East Coast people run circles around West Coast people. And also one of the greatest things that helped me was the restaurant business. I worked at 10 different bars and restaurants in 3 states. I learned how to motivate, keep moving. Matter of fact, when I was an AD and I was on a film, I say to a PA, I don't want to know what film school you went to because you're not gonna load the camera. I want to know what restaurant you worked at because you got to take people's guff. The actors are gonna yell at you when you get their breakfast order wrong, even though it was right. You just shake your head and say, "Okay, fine." And it keeps you motivated. It keeps you smiling. You got to be personable too.
Yeah, dealing with all kinds of people and the fast-paced nature of it. And right, exactly. I wanted, cinnamon on my toast. It's the end of the earth that you don't have the cinnamon, right? Don't you love the people who eat the entire plate? They eat everything on the plate. They've licked the plate clean, and then they say, I didn't like this meal at all. I want it comped.
Oh, I remember when I was on Mermaids as a PA. I say that's one of my favorite films. Uh, I, I try to remember the director, but I remember to this day coffee, juice, oatmeal with raisins, and brown sugar.
Mm.
Every day he got out of his car, I expected to have that right in his face.
That's it, right? So, Tommy, when did you make the move and decide to uproot from the East Coast, from Boston, and then head west? Had you already started working in elements of the industry? Were you working, in any of the theaters or with television or radio or anything within Boston, and that brought you to LA? How was it for you in the initial stages in Boston?
Well, let me take a few steps back. I went to Boston College, which is a Catholic school where they wanted I mean, you see this shirt right now? I could wear this to work in the film business, and I'm wearing shorts. In television, they want their kids came from Ireland, and they want their kids to wear suits and ties. As my master's of television teacher said at Boston College, film yuck chemicals, and they wanted to have you know, they wanted kids to be in suits and ties. So I went to BC. I went to a television station from Burlington, Vermont. Missed a job by the day. Had a great time. That's where I worked in a bar. I worked in a factory. I worked all over the place. Came back, and this will take people back. I went through the yellow pages. Looked at production companies down the yellow pages. Sent out resumes to 9 companies. Only one responded to me.
Mm.
That was Bill Williams. Answered that. He was on the 9/11 flight a few years later. And I went to a job at Powerhouse. I didn't go to a film school, so I didn't know what the grip stuff was. I mean, a lot of PAs did grip work. I just stood there. I didn't know what I was doing. At 6'2", 200 pounds, I kind of stood out. So the director said, I never want that guy on my set again, talking to me. Well, I heard about a grip house. I mean, one of the things you'll see in my life is I just did things. I just tried it. Don't sit back, go, well, maybe I should do this. Whatever. Just do it, and you'll get it wrong. You'll try something else. So
Very true.
I went to a grip house, learned all the equipment. Powerhouse had another job, and they needed like 20 PAs to lug a grip crane up a hill. Well, what about this guy? Well, Yale doesn't like him. Well, Yale's not working on this, and he's a big guy, so I got the job. And now I knew what I was doing.
Mm.
So I worked my ass off, became the number one PA in Boston, which is kind of like saying the number one dishwasher. And I wanted to be an AD. After working on Mermaids and all that, I saw the great Jim Van Wyck as an AD. I went out to LA. Didn't know anybody. Didn't know anything.
Mm.
Just pulled up to my friend Lad Sullivan in Glendale, California. I started sitting on resumes.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. A lot of times when people go out to LA, there's a connection or there's an invitation or something sort of lined up. But you said, hey, let's give this a shot. I want to go out there. And did you know that you wanted to go to Los Angeles, like versus going to New York? Because Los Angeles with television and film, and New York more theater and things of that nature. Was there a pull between those two, or you knew LA was your place?
Well, two things. One, New York was going through a grip strike. Grips were trying to force the producers out of New York.
Right.
I also said, if I'm going to rather be poor and warm and then poor and cold in New York. So I wanted out to LA. That's the reason why.
That's the reason why, right? So what was one of the first opportunities that happened for you? So you're in LA, you've got your luggage, you're getting things set up. What was one of the first opportunities for you in Los Angeles that you think was something very important that sort of opened the door for you, Tommy?
Well, in Boston, I was a PA, and I was so gung ho, I got burned out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I went to LA. I wanted to be an AD.
Yeah.
So trying to think which story to tell right off the bat. The first job I worked on, the Linguini incident. I worked 1 week on that. I got my car stolen on Friday. Got fired the next Friday off the job. But I didn't give up.
That's called a Freaky Friday.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't give up. Next week I was in a newsstand, and on Once Around, Jeff Beecroft was the production designer. I was at the newsstand trying to get the trades to find another job. There was Jeff Beecroft, and he was this guy in the newsstand. I said, "Hey, Jeff, how's it going? How you doing? You not working? Put this guy on the next job. Put him on the truck next week." So I was a set dresser next week.
Wow, that's amazing, huh?
Well, we didn't have internet. We didn't have web and all that stuff. You had to really meet people.
And they saw something in you, obviously. Had you had any gumption or thought about acting yourself, being on camera, being one of the faces, or did you always know that you loved the craft of what was happening behind the scenes, Tommy?
Always behind the scenes. I was an AD for all the time. I actually was SAG eligible for a job. They put me in. People said I should be an actress, but I mean that's tough. I mean, what if I said to you, Jimmy, you have your own show, but you don't look like you have your own show? I mean, it's all looks.
Right.
And it's gonna get worse. Jimmy and I were talking a little bit about it while the world's changing.
Yeah.
And with the electronics, who knows what's going to happen?
You're exactly right. Yeah. And now you have the artificial intelligence and a lot of different things, technological situations, social media, everything coming along as well. You have had an opportunity to work on some really extraordinary productions of note. You worked on the pilot of Desperate Housewives. What was that like?
That was good. I had a pretty gung ho director. He was all over the place, and I remember I didn't think I'd get the serious job because I'm like a bull in a china shop. I mean, these are very genteel women, and I'm like, let's shoot. Why are we shooting? So when I got a bottle of wine from one of the actresses after the pilot, I said, well, little did they know this is a bottle of wine that's going to be wasted on me.
Right. Yeah. It's like, so you came in, okay, sort of let's keep it moving, folks. Let's go. Time is money.
Like a restaurant.
Yeah. Time is money. Let's keep going. But to work on the pilot's kind of a cool situation, at least as far as an opportunity. You also close to home as well. Tell us about that.
Well, let me one more story from
Desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy Jamie, I never watched the show, but the guy Jamie on the show,
Yeah.
he was on a show before that, and he was so nice. He talked to when the other actors started grumbling. He talked to the actors like, "Hey, come on,
Yeah.
we're actors here. We're lucky to have this job."
Right.
And he was so nice. He got the job. The producers told the director, "Why don't you cast this guy?"
Mm.
He got the job because he was nice.
Right.
And the producer said he was a calming influence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's close to home. That was a good show. Jim Leonard was the producer director on that. executive producer. He was a really nice guy. Yeah, it was nice. It was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, really. When you look back at all of the timing of it all, here's another one too. Skin. That's a cool one too.
Well, Skin. Not to bury the lead. Skin was the show where I worked on Monday. It was a pilot, and I work, long hours. Bruckheimer. It's like working for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, right?
Exactly. So
Jerry Bruckheimer. Yeah.
every Thursday at noon, I'd go at lunch. I'd go to the hospital, get my white blood cells checked. Thursday night, I would, after a 12, 14-hour day, I'd drive to Cedar Sinai, which is a 24-hour chemo. I'd have chemo for 4 hours, get up the next day, work another 14 hours, and sleep all the rest of the weekend.
While still also working in a tenacious way, which is extraordinary. When did we had a cousin? She passed at 34 years old. She was also an emergency room nurse as well. And it was a few years back. And she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and, married with a daughter. And it was a sad situation to lose her at such a young age of 34. But, life throws us these curves. For you with Hodgkin's lymphoma, when did that diagnosis come your way? Were you not feeling well? Were you exhausted, fatigued? When did that happen for you?
I've been exhausted and fatigued since 1981. I haven't stopped yet. The irony is your cousin had the non-Hodgkin's is the tougher one. Hodgkin's is the easier one. So God bless your cousin. But I had a lump under my arm. They biopsied, didn't find anything. I should stop telling these stories, but after one operation for a biopsy, a friend was supposed to pick up my car. A friend was supposed to pick up me. The friend picked up me, but no, my other friend didn't pick up my car. So I told my friend with the car who was driving me home, I said, I gotta drive home. I can't leave my car here. So an hour after surgery, general anesthesia, I drove home.
You did, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Talking about like can-do spirit, and how did you, the book is definitely a must-read, folks, on many different levels too, and he's very open and like I said, shares so much in the book, and we don't want to give everything away, but how, when you hear that kind of a diagnosis, a lot of people pull up the tent, pull the shades down, disconnect the phone, and that's it for them. How did you, where did you pull the resilience and the positive nature from to say, we're going to meet this head on and do what we can and get through this? Was it through your work, support of loved ones, all of the above? What did you pull from to be able to deal with it?
Well, my tenacity was pretty known by then. So the doctor said, you have Hodgkin's lymphoma. I said, so what are we doing about it? That's all I said. I started making plans. I started making back, because at AD, we're tacticians of time. We figure things out. We make, I had people, when I did operations, I had one person to drive me and a backup person to drive me. Well, one time it didn't work out, but I always had backups for someone didn't show up, especially at that one time.
Yeah.
And
right.
No one on the crew knew. I wanted to be treated special or fragile. As my doctor said to me when I was done with all the chemo and radiation, I said to him, "Doctor, am I normal?" He says, "Tommy, you're never going to be normal, but you're in remission right now." I think he was speaking to my attitude.
Right. I like that. The doctor with a sense of humor, always the best kind, good bedside manner, right? Yeah. Making you feel good and positive. So you worked through it all. And then Parkinson's decides to knock on the door as well. When did you realize that was the case? Obviously, you're tested, you're being tested. You've got this inner strength and you're throwing these various things, just working and surviving this industry for 30 years, you've been tested. But these other things from a personal standpoint that you're tested to see, this resilience and this tenacity that you have. when that came along, tell us about some of that experience. And again, these things, the book, folks, not just sunglasses and autographs, is extraordinary. We'll tell you soon how you can get it as well. Tell us about the
Well,
Parkinson's situation.
my arm was at a 45-degree angle. Well, more like a 35-degree angle. And you know, I just busted my ass. And I was talking to a neurologist in my car. I was on Chicago PD. We were working in January outdoors. It was really cold. And I remember talking to the neurologist. I said, you know, talking about my job, about Parkinson's. He says, maybe you should just, I mean, that's tough enough. You should take it easy. And I finally said, all right, game over. I worked another year after the diagnosis, but after that I said, I'm not going to freeze my ass off and then do a Parkinson's at the same time, because I attack Parkinson's. The great thing about the book is I talk about how to attack Parkinson's. Don't give up. I was telling Jimmy today, we should drive a truck together, Jimmy. We have 2 days for it.
Could you imagine?
I was on the beach. I live in Redondo Beach, actually. Right.
Oh, that's a great spot. I've been there. Yes, yeah. Great spot there.
I ran on the beach for a mile with a 20-pound weights on my back, because exercise is so important to Parkinson's. I can't say that enough. I say in the book, when they tell you have Parkinson's, run home. Don't drive home, because you need to exercise right off the bat. People give up. Don't give up. Never give up.
Did you have to change your diet too?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine, Wendy Fay Ruse, who got me a chef. She takes good care of me. But also the exercise. I mean, I'm doing something cardio every day. Every day.
Yes. Did it cause you to have to, or did the doctor tell you to, or did you choose to have to scale back on the work itself? You know, obviously this industry is 24/7, 7 days a week, 365. Did you have to make some sacrifices and choices and sort of tweak and alter your routine as a result?
Well, the first year was it was kind of cute. All the grips would make sure I was swinging my arm. It was a great show. The people were amazing on that. It was like a family. But my famous job, I had to leave halfway through it, because I finally said, let's not kill ourselves. You've proven you can do it, even though it's a hit show. Let's not be stupid. Also, the time off is not time off from the work. It's time off for me to exercise.
Right. Exactly. You have to look out for yourself, because if there's the health isn't evident, then nothing else matters, and you can't really do anything else, and things get worse for you. So they were at Chicago PD, the series, very, very supportive of you and understood.
Yeah, they were. They're very supportive.
That's so great, huh? That is so terrific. Have you talked to other folks who've been very expressive about their situations too, like a Michael J. Fox and others? Have you coordinated with or had conversations with any of those folks as well?
People have given my book to people with Parkinson's. Michael J. Fox is a little above my level. I go to Active. It's a Parkinson's and rehabilitation gym in Torrance. I go there a lot. They do a lot of exercising for people with Parkinson's. I box. That's my favorite thing. I box. I really. Jordan Watts works me out right on the beach, catching punches, getting in focus mitts. I love the boxing part of it. And boxing is so big in Parkinson's. It's huge.
Really? It is, huh? I don't think people realize that. And it's just because of all the moves, and it just helps.
It's putting your mind together with your arm.
Ah.
Because the synapses are the dopamine, the connecting, the neurons are not there anymore. So you got to bridge the gap. So we do. It's not to punch somebody out. It's to do right cross, left cross, upper. Put it all together in mind and keep your mind moving.
Which is exactly, whether you have an illness or not, that advice right there is so essential and so important. And then there is the other side. There's the emotional side. There's the keeping the spirit up. You can do the physical stuff. You can tweak your schedule, your diet, things of that nature. What did you call upon to keep the spirit, to keep Tommy spirit up? I'm sure we're all human. None of us have days that are always up. We have days where we're down, days where we're mad, days where we're disappointed, frustrated, all this stuff comes at us. What were some things that you were able to do to try to keep your spirits up? Did you surround yourself with positive people? What was it that helped you?
Jimmy, are you asking me for a hug?
Lovity is what we're about on the Jim Masters Show. And I think, gang, Tommy's going to give you free hugs.
Sure, I'll do that.
He worked for 36 hours for free. He's going to give 36 hours of free hugs starting right now. Boom. There you go.
Some parts is, AD in my life is like one project to the next. So I go after projects like, you get a script on one day, you break it down, you location scout, and then you find the next thing. So for me, it's like 1 week at a time. What am I going to do this week? I mean, a lot of people in Parkinson's wake up in the middle of the night. I'm so tired from working out. I sleep well.
You sleep well. Yeah.
But it's the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have anybody to say, Tommy, are you okay? Tommy, I'm sorry that cheap shot about the hug, Jimmy.
No, that's cool. It's funny. I love it. Great sense of humor. It's awesome.
But I wake up in the middle of the night and
look, Maureen in Arizona says she'll take that hug, and so will Kathleen in New York City and Merlin in Canada. You got a hug fest going on here, Tommy. See what you started?
I know you had that.
Oh, yeah. They're watching live. They love those hugs. They're waiting for them. They're lining up, Tommy Burke.
Well, you can follow me. How's this for a second? You can follow me on TommyBurke.com. I have all I have dozens of pictures from my film business. And
yeah, it's a great website. That's it. He's giving you virtual hugs, folks. There you go. What was it like, when you decide to write an autobiography or a memoir, and be so open about your life and be so, inspired as you're writing? What was that process like? When did you decide to say, you know what, we're going to write this? And I love the cover and I love the title. You talk about the 30 years in film and television and production with life and near-death lessons and some dark humor in there too, quick wit. When did you decide, I want to do it and now is the time?
Well, one of the things that surprises people when I say to them, you know why I wrote a book? To write a book.
Right.
It's a pandemic. I have no wife. I have no kids. I have no job.
Right.
Erin Anderson helped me edit it. She did a great job. A lot of these books with her help. Like most things, I get a website, it was wrong. I get a book designer, it was wrong. I tell people, just try it. Screw up. Go ahead, screw up.
Right. Exactly. Just take a chance, take the risk, do it. Did you know you wanted to be so open and you wanted to share so much, or were you hesitant in the beginning, or once you started writing, you're like, no, we're going to tell it, warts and all?
I think I just went on it's about 50, 75 pages I didn't put in it, but I don't know. I wish I had a way about that. I just started writing and Erin made me keep true and it was great.
How long did it take to actually write the book, from the first, germ of the idea to having it completed? How long was that process for you, Tommy?
About a year.
You got it in about a year.
And I would wake up in the middle of the night and I think of a story. I take my iPad, write an email to myself, put the story, 5 words of the story in the subject line and email it to me so I wouldn't forget it.
That's a good idea. Right. That's a really good idea. We have a lot of people that do those kinds of things. I'll do it too. If I get a source of some inspiration happens, I'll jot it down. I'll record it. I'll do something, because that's that could be a fleeting moment, and you'll never, get that again. So to do that, did you keep sort of like a journal along the way?
No, I mean, I've got a good memory, and I just remembered stories like, case in point, Obregon, Mexico, with vigoroons, tarantulas, and scorpions.
That could have
And
been the title of the book too.
I think the title of that chapter is a pretty nasty one too.
How did you know? Like you said, you left 57 or so pages out of the book. How did you know what not to include? Was there a publisher or an editor working with you
No.
saying, we don't have time, the book's going to be too big? How did you know what to leave out and what to include, Tom?
I tried to get an agent, a publisher.
Yeah,
That was
that's difficult.
it's like the film business, like actors. They don't want to rep you until you've done something. Well, you can't do something until you've been repped.
It's a circle, isn't it? You're right, exactly.
So
Right.
I just kept going.
Yeah.
Stories that would move the point along or the book along. I tell stories about infomercials. I mean, that's a case of where I wanted to tell it, but it didn't really move the story along. But I came back to several things like safety, famous, what I do for a living, what my job entails, days on the set, how to get in the business. I have a glossary at the end telling different, and there are no holds punches of glossary. I mean, a lot of people give these cute little descriptions. I no holds barred in some of these descriptions.
I think that's what it's kind of refreshing. You know what I mean? That it's a no holds barred, vulnerable, open, real, gut punching sort of situation. And again, that's also refreshing in the industry too, because a lot of time, I mean, you're a straight shooter, and you speak, from the heart, which I think is, and which I think is awesome. But I also think it's refreshing because a lot of times things are always sweetened up or polished up, or you're not really getting the full story, or the person isn't really being authentic. They just want to sell the thing, and that's it. But there's a message within the book. You talk about Hollywood, you talk about the career and everything, and all these wonderful accolades and amazing things you've had an opportunity to work on and be a part of and help create and move along in the industry. But you also have a message in the book for people, not just who are in these industries where there's lights on them, but everyday people who are going through things, right? Tell us what the message is with this book, Tom.
Well, I went through cancer with the parties. I get the main message is just don't sit there, just try it and screw up. I mean, I went to LA. I said to myself, at the very least, Boston's not going anywhere. I'll go to LA. I couldn't leave LA because I couldn't give up on it. But I couldn't give up. And I had to keep going.
I bet you've come across people who also have been going through things, people maybe personally, or even just the everyday, the public at large, who read a book like that, and they'll tell you how the book has changed their outlook, has maybe given them a different way to approach things, a different perspective. That's sort of as you're sharing your story in this incredible book, and it is riveting, folks, and it's very open, and I encourage you to get it. But it's almost full circle, right? You're writing the book to share and to be open with everybody, but then you get feedback from people who read the book who say, this changes my life. This is changing the way I'm now going to go out there. I'm going to keep living. I'm not going to sit on the couch and just wait for the clock to strike 12. I'm here now, and I'm going to keep going and keep doing. How does that feel when feedback like that comes?
It's great. I mean, I love that. My website I had a website for cancer when I was going through Hodgkin's, and I had a kind of a login page. And this one lady said she was going through Hodgkin's too, and she said how it helped her. She ended up actually dying from Hodgkin's. I screwed up. I didn't keep the website active, and it just just disintegrated basically. But my favorite thing is I've always said I'd rather have someone from the Academy Award say I want to thank Tommy Burke for the award than me getting an award. I know that's kind of twisted, an anti-Hollywood thing to think of, but when people say to me, "I read your book," a lot of people said, "I never would have tried this if you hadn't done it."
That's a beautiful thing, right? It reminds me of the recent loss of somebody like Matthew Perry, the actor, Friends and everything else, where he had said uh, in an interview when questioned, he said, I know I'm going to be remembered for playing Chandler on Friends on NBC and things of that nature. I'm going to be remembered for my acting career and all that came with that. But I really would prefer to be remembered for being an advocate for helping with addiction and things of that nature. I think it's a great thing because with all the accolades and all the things you've done, to have this as part of the legacy is fantastic. I think there's so many people that will read this book that will have a different perspective on how to, deal with things because like I said, life throws lemons at us and it's what we do with those lemons and turn it into lemonade. What are some things that you learned about yourself, Tommy, as you were writing the book? It's a very therapeutic, cathartic process.
I just started writing. I wish I had a better answer for you, Jimmy. I mean, Aaron Anderson really could, shade my words into cohesiveness. I mean, I was all over when I had Eric Roberts' wife read
Eliza?
yeah, she read my cancer site, and she said I was a good writer. I never would have thought I was a good writer. She that was the first time I said, well, maybe I can do this. Do you know what Eliza and Eric?
We are working to try to get them on the show. If you talk to them, definitely tell them come on the Jim Master Show. We would love to have them on the show. Fabulous people.
He's a great. I've worked several films with him.
Yeah, spread the word. If you can connect us, we would love that, Tommy. We'd love to share their story. It's very inspiring too. And yeah, he works hard too, huh?
Yeah, he does a low budget film. He does a big budget film. He goes back and forth.
Right, exactly. Did you, so if you talk to them, love to connect with them and welcome them as guests. Do you have a preference, film over television, or have you always enjoyed both, Tommy?
Well, I started with commercials in Boston. Film is good, but here's my analogy about film and television. Film is like baseball.
Hmm.
You have it's some strikes, some once in a while you get a big home run, but television is like football, all out. Television, you have 8 days to shoot it, 8 or 9 days. A new director comes in, you can't push it off. Film, baseball can go extra innings. Television, you can. 8 days or 9 days, you're done. Moving on. So I like that. It's almost more of a producer's medium. You have a little more control over that.
I agree. There's something about the movement and the action and the deadlines, and we got to get it in the can. We got to get it done. And then if you add live, if it happens to be live television, live radio, live stage, whatever, there's that adrenaline of everything has to sort of work out. And if it doesn't work out, you've got to get in there and react very quickly to put pieces together to make it look like it was supposed to happen that way or smoothly. And I've had many, I could do hours of stories being on the air on television or radio or on stage where things have gone wrong all around me. And I'm the one out there and they're whispering in my ear, just keep talking, do something, just keep the thing together. And a lot of people would say, that's got to be awful. That's got to be, you must have hated that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Those are some of my favorite moments when I'm out there on air or wherever it is and things are going wrong and they're depending on you to make it right, to connect everything and keep the train on the track. There is something about that I love, even though, it wouldn't be something I would say I want to go in to the situation and hope everything falls apart so we can fix it live on air. But when it does happen, the adrenaline, it's like a sport, you ramp up and you're like, okay, just like you say, let's keep it moving, folks. Let's plug things back in. Let's get it going. And you've had many situations like that being a director, right?
Assistant director. I do the real work. Jimmy, sounds like you got a book coming out of you. Do you see a book coming?
You know, people have asked that. People have told me
Well,
that. I had a life-changing experience when I drove alone after a TV shoot. We were in a town west of Las Vegas. We were in Pahrump, Nevada,
I
and it
know
was
it.
on when I was on this television shoot. And when we were wrapped with the shoot, I was interviewing this wonderful, famous oil painter for a TV news series that I'm part of with Doug Llewellyn, who hosts the People's Court. He's my colleague and friend for 20 years and co-host. And I was out on the shoot and I had some extra time. And I said, you know what? I want to check out this area of Pahrump and the desert and everything. You know, we're here on the East Coast. We have the cities and the suburbs and we have the ocean and we have, you know, all the rest. But now I'm in a desert with a rental car. The crew had to go back to Los Angeles, the film crew, because they had things they had to do. So I still had about a day or so left with the rental car in Pahrump. Hot August, you know, I'm driving around the town, and the car kept taking me to the entrance of Death Valley. It just somehow every left, every right I was taking, Tommy was taking me to the entrance of Death Valley. And like Death Valley, it's August. Nobody knows him in this rental car, family, friends. Nobody knows him. You know, they know him on a shoot, but they don't know him at the edge of Death Valley. There's no way I'm going to just randomly in August in a rental car, just go in there and start driving. Well, that's exactly what I did. I felt like I was pushed into Death Valley, and you may get this. Maybe the Irish background, you'll get it. I felt self-imposed guilt. People are like, what are you talking about? Guilt, driving a rental car into Death Valley. What kind of guilt would that be? I said, it's self-imposed, and I've done it previously. I haven't really done it since, but I used to always do it. And that would be, here I am going into Death Valley, which of course we put on a pedestal like the Grand Canyon, like the Empire State Building, like, you know, the Acropolis or whatever. We're going into Death Valley. Always saw it on television, always saw it in movies. It's ominous, it's hot. The road never ends. Who knows where it leads to? The weather changes. It's like Twilight Zone. So I'm driving in and I feel some pretty heavy duty guilt. And the guilt was self-imposed that I wasn't sharing this with family and friends. I wasn't sharing what I was visual. I'm very visual, and what I was seeing and experiencing, the raw nature, the earth, the vastness of this desert, the heat, the risk that was involved of taking a rental car that I only know the make and model of. I don't know how good this engine is or how well it's been maintained by the rental company, but to be haphazardly just driving into Death Valley like that with no flares, no charged cell phones, no water, nobody else in the car, all the opposite of what they tell you to do when you're going into Death Valley. And I'm going in and I felt guilt that I wasn't sharing it with loved ones and friends. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to turn this car back, go back to the hotel, just enjoy the rest of the time, and then fly back east from Las Vegas tomorrow. But then I felt some interesting things happen that were very strong and almost life-changing in a way. And I don't know if you've experienced things like this with all the things you've experienced, but I felt three pretty powerful things sort of come my way, these three energies. One was the energy of the earth. I'm on this earth. I'm on a globe that's floating in the universe. I felt the earth. I saw the dirt. I felt the power of nature sort of surrounding me, wildlife, raw nature right around me. Mother Nature was there. And then I felt some essence of a divine sort of just guiding me, just like, hey, look, the situation is bigger than you. I love the ocean. The ocean is my go-to place. You know, growing up Boston, the ocean's right there. So swimming it, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing it, walking it, the ocean for me, bigger than me. I hand over all power to the ocean, and I get great pleasure and joy out of the ocean. This was the opposite of the ocean. This is the opposite of a forest, a suburb, a city. This is raw earth, hot as anything, driving in it. So I felt these three energies sort of guiding me in and giving me an option to say, you know what, Jim, you could put that car in reverse and go back to the hotel, or you could keep going and see what happens. See what happens when you drive in August in a rental car straight into Death Valley alone. And I chose to do that. And within 20 minutes of doing that, Tommy, the guilt that I put on myself of not having, because I'm very communal. I like to be in a movie theater, watching a movie with everybody in the theater, feeling the same thing at the same time that we're witnessing on the screen as we see the Titanic sink. For that fleeting moment, all of us feel something as emotional human beings. We're feeling something at the same time, which the director, the producer, all the people are hoping that we're going to feel, but we're feeling it. That was something that was missing driving the car because there weren't others in there. So I wasn't providing joy for other people. And it was really cool because that guilt lifted, and I went through and did the whole thing there, came all the way back to Pahrump. And people will say, and the story goes longer, and this leads to what you're saying. A lot of people have said you should do a movie, short film, you should do a book on it, really tell your story and combine it with your career and all the rest, because it was life-changing. 3 or 4 big things happened with that experience. One real quick was that the world is going to continue to spin on its axis, whether I rescue it from itself and run to the aid of the world and put out all the fires and solve and heal all the time. The second is when you're on the airplane and they tell you the mask drops, put it on you first before you help somebody else. I was always raised, love thy neighbor, help thy friend, help thy fellow man, help them first, then do you. Now I understand that you got to put it on you first. And then the other one too is there will be experiences that'll happen to you right then and there out of the blue that are meant just for you. I couldn't have called family and friends to get them to Death Valley from all across the country quick enough to get in that car and experience it with me. But that experience was happening right then and there. So you can either go away from it or you can go towards it. And those experiences will continue to happen in your life, and you've got to seize those and relish them, even if they're singular experiences, which that Death Valley situation was. So those are a few things that came out of just after a TV shoot, driving a rental car into Death Valley, that I came out of that have just enriched things. And it's only a few years ago that it happened, before the pandemic, and still, it's something that is right fresh and right on, the tip of my tongue. So, I wanted to share that with you because maybe there's experiences you've had that are similar of nature, where you were just there and something happened and you made the choice and it became life-changing for you.
Well, I've always done my own thing. I mean, Jim, have you ever been to the redwoods, the big redwoods in California?
No, when are we going? I've always wanted to go there.
I know that's a perfect place for you. That sums up everything you're doing. I was on a music video shoot, and I also, the two things I thought of, I was a music video shoot, and music video shoots are 24 hours.
Yeah.
People say to me, why you drink coffee? I said, after the first 24-hour music video, I drink coffee.
Yeah.
So I was on Hollywood Boulevard, dawn, and I saw a coyote going through the garbage on Hollywood Boulevard, the dumpster. Also, I ran up the Hollywood sign to the D. It's before all the security, and I sat on below the D and took it in. But you need to get out more, Jimmy. I think you need to attack more stuff in your life.
What's really amazing, as I said, I know because I'm always taking care of everybody else. I've often said, that sometimes you have these experiences, and like with the Death Valley, I said, well, why didn't that happen when I was like 16 years old? How cool that would be. And everybody has said, No, because you wouldn't have recognized it. You wouldn't have acknowledged it. You might have shunned it. You might not have even understood it, but it was a gift presented you. You took it, risk and all, and you went in there and you made something of it, which is something special. And that's something that, and that's why I say it, it's connecting me to your story where you've had things and have things you deal with while you're creating art, while you're creating entertainment, while you're creating things and working with crews and talent to create things that, provide entertainment for all of us. But while also on the flip side with that book, being so open and honest and real about your own personal life and things that you've experienced. I think it's a very cool thing what you've done here.
And I'll put on another thing on Jimmy. The other side of that is I've driven cross country 3 times. I've driven around America. I had some of the best times seeing the sun in Louisiana bio, but now I can't do long car rides because of Parkinson's. Don't wait too long, Jimmy.
That's right. Do it now, right? Do it
Yes.
now. It's very funny because after that shoot in Death Valley, we ended up in Greece, the Netherlands,
Wow.
Germany, and on a television show that the travel series was doing. And all of a sudden, I found myself swimming in a dark pool of frigid water off the cliffs on an island called Samothraki, which is about 7 miles from Turkey. We were filming there, following this family along who live there and how they, fend for themselves. They have a restaurant of their own, and how, we're on boats fishing for the food that they're going to cook that night at the restaurant. And just the husband's playing the bouzouki. It was just really an extraordinary experience, climbing the mountains and everything. But the producers wanted to get this perfect shot of us swimming in this black pool of water, and there was no way to get into the water other than sliding off these steep rocks into it. Steep cliffs, beautiful waterfall, but it's a circular, round, black, deep pool of water, something you see on like a Twilight Zone or something. And I'm saying to myself, wow, a couple of weeks ago, I'm driving through Death Valley alone, and now we're in this black, deep, frigid icebox water. And of course, when water's that cold and when it's fresh water, you don't float. So you're like hyperventilating, you're keeping yourself up. But the producers were up on the cliff and they wanted there was a couple of us that were in the water. Some of the family that was taking us on the journey, and the producer was going up with the camera, and the camera person was going up and almost slid off the cliff, sliding backwards with the camera, like, oh my God, we're in a pool of water. They're almost sliding off the cliff, but wanted that money shot of us in the black pool of water. And then the locals who were with us go, oh, by the way, guys, we wanted to tell you something. Now we're in the middle of this pool of water, which is jet black, comes up to here. They go, there's never been a bottom to this body of water found, no measurable depth. Now all of a sudden, the water that's jet black, that's frigid cold, seems even deeper. And what's going to happen? A whirlpool is going to start. We're going to be sucked under. There's a Loch Ness
Oh,
monster in here. And, I don't know if I would have volunteered to just slide off a rock into that deep pool of water if I hadn't done that trip alone in that rental car with Death Valley. So, yeah, it's just certain things that you do that, challenges that you take on. What would you say to somebody right now, Tommy, who is going through something that is daunting, overwhelming, scary, challenging, and they feel stuck, they feel lost, they're frightened, and they just don't know what to do? What would you say to somebody possibly watching live or who will watch this later in the archives who's in that spot in their life?
well, I speak to more about health because my 2 favorite expressions is the expression of how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And the second is, I made this up. If you stub your toe on a piece of furniture, I say this most to cancer people, you're not gonna lose your foot. You have a bad toe. Don't think because you stub your toe and it hurts, you're gonna lose your foot. Take one thing at a time. I talk a lot about going through cancer in my book. I talk about a lot of things dealing with doctors and nurses and all that, and CAT scans and all that. But I think don't push yourself in saying, "Oh, my toe's gonna fall off. I'm gonna die." One thing at a time. And same with the chemo. Do one chemo at a time. Don't think of all of them. That's how I got through it. I just think of one chemo at a time.
I love that the West Coast colleagues call you the Irish Bull. When was that a title that was given you?
On the lower budget film days, because on lower budget, there's like, oh God, those days. I mean, I said in the book, at television, you work 5-day weeks, 12-hour days, 13-hour days. I remember doing on a low budget film with 6 days weeks, and 12, 14-hour days. So you were going to bed at Sunday morning and you're going to bed Sunday night next day. And they're actually making a big charge for that. The film business is Brett's Law, which is a law about a guy, AC, got run off the road because he was tired. They're really trying to keep a lid on these long hours. Producers and directors want to go long hours, and the crews are getting paid for that. So that's a big thing that's happening now. Hopefully, with all the new things happening, look, on NBC, on Chicago PD, you had to be the last truck had to be locked up by 14 hours. Not stop shooting, but locked up. So they're making great strides in that. But crews are working very hard, and they shouldn't have to do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're sort of like an advocate in that way, which I think is really something quite special. With your credits, which are extraordinary, you've touched the lives of so many people. CSI Miami was another show that you've had an opportunity to be involved in too. What was that like?
Next question.
There's your answer, folks. Right then and there on the spot. There is your answer. And now you know another reason why he's in LA. Follow-up book. You see another, because this is 73,000 words, right?
I don't know how many words this is. You're ahead of me. I knew it's like 326 pages, right?
Yes. Do you see another? You get those other 57 pages that got cut out? Do you see another book in the offing? I know some of our viewers have asked that too. They asked another book. Is there another book? And some have asked, is there an audio book version?
Yes, there is an audiobook version. There's a audiobook my friend David Kriegel did for me. Big time actor. He did an audiobook just for me. Also, it's a Kindle too. I writing the book was fun. Getting to the people was tough. I mean, everyone's got a book now, and getting it out there, that's the tough part. So if I had an agent or someone, I'm not saying I don't want to hawk the book that much anymore. I'd love to talk to people. My favorite thing to do is, I'll say this to all your listeners: you want me to come to your school? I don't have to be, the universal amphitheater. I'll come to your school. I'll come to anything to talk. And I love going to people saying, "What's your dream?" I go to a lot of film schools. I go, "What's your dream? You're a writer. You're an actress. Why aren't you guys working out together? Photographer, why aren't you shooting something? Shooting a trailer, a piece." I love motivating people. So I'd love to come to anyone's town. Just pay me a sandwich or some money, and I'd love to talk to anybody about that. A new book, I would have to. The getting it out there's the tough part. That's the tough part. I mean, I get to speak to nice people like you, Jimmy. But it's getting out the book out there.
That's the thing, right? Because, the feedback is always wonderful. And of course, people will ask for more from you as well, because the writing style, it really is something very, very special. It is available on Amazon, folks. And this is Tommy's website, as he mentioned. It's filled with his story and a lot of other cool things as well. Do you see, maybe if not a book, do you see more writing? Are you writing a lot now as a result of writing the book?
I'd like to do I want to say one-man show. I'd like to do a speech about, because a lot of people don't know about Parkinson's.
Right.
They don't know anything about it. I'd like to go out there and tell them a story. The Moth. You ever heard of The Moth?
Yes, right. Yeah.
I like to do some speaking engagements, talking about Parkinson's. I also want to advocate. I think it's criminal. Parkinson's is not. They haven't found a cure. ALS is another thing. I mean, they find cures for a lot of stuff. And I'm being myopic, but we got
No,
to
yeah.
find a cure. Everyone for the last 25 years have said Parkinson's will find a cure in 5 years. That's bull. Find it now.
Exactly right. Exactly. And, we've encouraged folks to support whatever you want to support to help with all of this. What would be a message that you have for the viewers in terms of when you wrote the book? Did you have a reader in mind, or do you think that anybody that reads this terrific book will get something out of it, Tommy?
My favorite compliments of the book. I love this compliment. They say it's like sitting on a bar stool next to you. It's like sitting having a cup of. It's very conversational. I speak from the heart. I speak with my Boston roots, so it's very conversational, so it's easy to read.
Have you been doing any book signings and events and things like that?
I want to get out there more. I did a little book signing. I want to meet the people. I want to give my 2 cents about make it better. Cancer, Parkinson's. I mean, there are people with Parkinson's who are really suffering.
Yeah.
I did a 45 minutes of cardio on elliptical yesterday.
Yeah.
I do boxing. I mean, you can't give up, and people need encouragement. Things with cancer, one step at a time.
I know our viewers who've been commenting, and they've all welcomed you to the Jim Master Show and wishing you continued success. A couple have asked, how are you doing? How is your health? How are you doing, Tommy?
Okay, my favorite analogy is when John F. Kennedy said, "Were you a hero when they sunk your boat when we rescued your crew off of that island?" He said, "No, they sank my boat. That's why." I wasn't trying to be a hero. I'm not. I don't want to be in a spot, but I want to help people, encourage them. I'm doing okay. You've seen me. You read the book, you'll be amazed at the things I go through. So.
Yes, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. How did you, it's so perfect. How'd you come up with the title and the cover as well? It's fantastic.
Erin Anderson designed it, and we had an artist do it together. So here's the story. I was on Kimberly. It's a shot in Philadelphia with Sean Astin way before the medieval days.
Right.
And he was we're on a baseball field, and he was talking to the fans. He was giving autographs, and I, being the AD in me, go on, Sean. We need you. We got to shoot the shot. And the fans started going, oh, and he said, well, sorry guys, then I'll just sunglasses and autographs. Boom.
That's so perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think lollipops and ice cream, that one was already taken. So that is so perfect.
You see the rest of the thing? I can't remember what's the rest of the title goes.
Yes, tell us.
I can't remember what's the.
You mean the lollipops and ice cream?
No, the rest of the book. The rest of the title of the book, it says 30 years of television.
Oh yes, your book. Yeah, 30 years of film and television production with life and near-death lessons and dark humor.
That sums it up. And I hope people give me a good review. That's really important if you read the book.
Absolutely right. You before we head out, my friend, you had an opportunity to work with Johnny Depp, huh? What was that like?
So I was on Mermaids, the famous Mermaids. I was just a PA, and Johnny Depp was dating Winona Ryder, and he said he's doing a short film, and he comes out to LA. I thought I didn't think he wouldn't hire me because I was just a PA at first. It was a very short, very small film. I said, "When does an actor get a chance to do it?" I did it. I busted my ass. He said to me, "Berkey," that's my nickname back then. "Berkey, if you ever need a favor, let me know."
Very cool.
So in the book, I say anyone who's walking to a French coffee bistro tells a coffee maker that tell Johnny Depp to Tommy Burke needs that favor back. I also talk about working with Ben Affleck. I talk about working with Peter O'Toole. That was great. Peter O'Toole was amazing.
Oh yeah. What was that experience like? Wow.
I always say my Academy Award was when Peter O'Toole said to me, "Becky, if there's an Irishman, you are he."
Wow.
That's the best I could get.
You know, I want to tell you, as we mentioned here on the show, since we do the shows live, but this will be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, so folks can see it again and, share it with folks that you think would also enjoy the conversation. Some of our faithful viewers who have been watching just wanted to say a couple of nice things. We call them the Jim Master Show Lovety viewers. Kathleen in New York City says, best of luck with the book. You are an inspiration, Tommy. Maureen in Arizona, my wish for you, Tommy, is continued good health. I love that you have taken what life handed you, rose above it, and you're devoting your time to helping others. Austin Field says, I love the title of that book. Jane in Sweden is thanking you for being here and thanks and says good night. And everybody that has these wonderful comments, loving the show as well. Merlin shared that her husband died of ALS. That's a tough one. Yeah.
I have a friend with ALS. I mean, Parkinson's is tough, but ALS is just.
Maureen in Arizona says her uncle has Parkinson's and he boxes every day. He's doing really well since he's keeping physically active. Thanks for sharing that, Maureen. And Merlin says, all the more power to you and God bless you. And tenacity has paid off for you as well, Tommy. Really, really beautiful comments coming in here. And you look great, Tommy. Keep up the good work. Some of our viewers just chiming in here, my friend. This was really an awesome conversation. I don't want to keep you too long. You're probably starving and need a sandwich. I know I do.
Well, here's the thing, Jimmy. We got to figure out a place where we can meet in Vegas and we can give out hugs.
There you go, right? Hugs with each book.
You're going to give hugs. I'm sure that people want to hug you more than me.
Oh, with every book, you get a hug from Jimmy and Tommy, right? One of my best friends growing up in New York, out east on Long Island. And then could you imagine? You have a best friend for, when you're a child, and then his family packs up and they move away when you're 11, when you're in 6th grade. But we've stayed in touch, throughout the years. His name, Tommy. How ironic is that, right?
You can tell I'm Irish because my name is Thomas Macaulay Burke.
Oh, well, are you kidding? Have you been to Ireland?
3 times. Enjoy it? Yes, I want to take another vacation. I got to take a vacation. It's a fine line between not taking it to. I'm doing good with Parkinson's, but we never know. So I have to decide. I mean, I wish I could drive cross country, but I told you, Jimmy, I can't do that anymore. So I'm deciding where to take my next vacation before it's too late. Flying is okay. You can fly here and there. Yeah. Just, the physical part of it also, your mind gets a little wanky sometimes. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, but traveling and visiting is something that you would love to continue to do. And it is a beautiful thing to do it when you can. Tommy, I wish you nothing but all continued blessings. And we're going to continue to keep the porch light on for you. You are welcome back to the Jim Masters Show anytime. Anytime you want to invite me, I'll come. Absolutely. Yes. For some of that East Coast vibe. Right. And definitely say hi to Eric and Liza, and they're welcome to come on the show. We would love that, and spread the word about our show. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, sir. You are, you've survived an extraordinary industry that demands a lot of your time and attention, and have worked through it with the health and wellness situations. And you're here to tell the story. And I think it's very inspiring, my friend. There is the name of the book, folks, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, where books are sold. Also, TommyBurke.com is his website. Check it out. It's really
a fantastic place to begin your journey. And we are really honored to have you with us on the show. Stop by and see us again soon, my friend, okay?
All right, Jimmy, it was an intense pleasure.
I appreciate that. And as my father has always said, you'll appreciate this line. When I was 7 years old, you know how dads can give you this sage advice that sticks with you. He said to me, Jimmy, because he's Jim and we're all James, Jimmy, remember this. Whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, always make sure you thank them and then ask them to please put those nice words in writing and address it management.
That's great, Jimmy.
Yeah. My father, Irish, but from New York. Grew up a couple of blocks away from Tony Bennett. So similar understandings of how things work, right, my friend?
You're right, Jimmy.
That's it. Well, I toast you and continued success with everything. Stop by, see us again, and continued good health. And congratulations on the book, Tommy.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too. You be well. Cheers.
Bye.
Tommy Burke, celebrated television director, producer, and so much more, associate director. The real deal, right? Refreshing, authentic, affable. And he has opened up about his life, about working in Hollywood with this incredible book. I love the cover. It's really cool. Not just sunglasses and autographs. He came up with that while working on a project in Philadelphia, PA. And it really is 30 years of film and television production. He's worked, as I said, on some of your favorite shows and all kinds of stuff. And this book is with life and near-death experiences, lessons, dark humor. It's all in there. And there he is. It's really, really a cool shot of him as well. Makes him think of craft services, you said. Worked on Chicago PD, and it was a great series. Skin, Close to Home. And this is just the short list, folks. So many other shows and specials and so much more in films. But the bottom line is you got a chance to hear a little bit more about somebody who is tenacious and resilient and can-do spirit. I'm sure he'll tell you not every day is perfect, not every day is easy, but, you know, he picks himself up by the bootstraps and he gets out there because he's living life now. You know what I mean? Sure, he's worked extraordinarily hard, like 36 hours straight for free at one time, as is coming up the ranks. And he's very open and candid about his stories, you know, growing up in Boston, in Massachusetts, and then working within the area, and then making that, you know, packing up the bag and heading out himself to Tinseltown and seeing what he could make of it, working in a very difficult, demanding, unpredictable, but rewarding and an extraordinary industry as well on so many different levels, and then meeting the challenges of life head on with health and other things. But as you say, and as he has said, he's physically active, he's boxing, he's doing what he can, and he wrote a book sharing this with all of us. Tommy Burke, again, a veteran of the television and film industry, and now published author. And I'm sure, you know, there'll be more from Tommy, I'm sure, beyond this book too. We'll look for that. I know many of you have asked about that. Let's take a look at some of the comments coming in as well. We've been sprinkling a few of these in from our viewers watching around the world. Kathleen Walker says, awesome show, great guy. He sure is. And thank you, Jim. And you guys heard that Death Valley story. I shared it with you here on the Jim Masters show. And I just wanted to share it with Tommy because he asked, you know, if I was considering writing a book and things of that nature. And a lot of people have mentioned I should do something with the Death Valley story, which was life-changing as well. So I was happy to share it again. Love all the comments. Absolutely as well. And we really appreciate all this. And Austin loves the title of the book and another great show, and subscribe for excellent content. Thank you for those kind words as well. Gang, I just want to let you know, if you came in late or you want to see this episode again, it'll be archived on our YouTube channel. Give this episode a thumbs up like. There's a thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel. Make sure you click the thumbs up. Click the thumbs up. Leave a comment, interact with us, drop a comment on this episode, And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we have over 1,060 plus episodes and growing of our series. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for stopping by the Jim Masters Show live series. Just want to let you know we've got a really, really big shoe, as Ed Sullivan would say, a big show for you tomorrow. This is an epic cast that's joining us tomorrow. We have the full cast and the creators of this extraordinary new musical, Rock Me Amadeus. Allison Cambridge is here, Tony Bruno, and you've seen them on Broadway, you've seen them on television, you've seen them on stage, movies. It's really incredible. What a great group we have of extraordinary talent. Chloe Lowry, Tony Vincent, Louis Guzman, Henry Aronson. Mairead Nesbitt is going to be back with us tomorrow. She's a dear friend. She's in Celtic Woman, and she's starring in Rock Me Amadeus, the musical. Victor Robertson, Toby Rand, each one of them individually are rock stars on their own with the epic careers that they've had. They've come together to create Rock Me Amadeus live, and they're all going to be here tomorrow. Wow, it's going to be a full house. We're going to have to chill the glasses tomorrow. It's going to be a big show tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, live right here on the Jim Masters Show live series. So check it out. Don't miss it. All of these guests are going to be here. So we love you all. Thanks for stopping by the show. We'll see you again. Tell everybody you know about our series. And you can find me on the social media as well. Crazy social media, Jim Masters TV on Facebook, on Twitter, which is now called X, and on Instagram. Check it out. We thank Tommy for being with us here on the show. Great guy. And again, there's the book. Make sure you pick it up. Get it at Amazon and places where books are sold. And yeah, we'll have him back down the line. I really appreciate all the time he gave us as well. And I appreciate the time you gave us here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Be well, take care of one another, love one another. Come see us again here at the Jim Masters Show Live. I am your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time till next time. Catch us on another episode. We'll be right here waiting for you. Be well and cheers.